Welcome back to Milton Mo Junction. This is the first update for April, and I haven't really done a lot since the last update, mainly because I've been away, and secondly because I've been sort of trying to decide how I want this to work. It's mainly settling around the diesel depot. And where to have it, because I'm really interested in the diesel engines, and I want a fair few, and I want somewhere to display them or use them, or so I can see them when they're not in use, if you like. So obvious answer to that is a diesel depot. Haven't really got a fiddle yard on this layout, so it will actually be a fiddle yard for diesels and make it part of the scenery as well. Now, what I have done since the last video, I've changed the layout here a bit. As you can see, I've changed the point work, and instead of having two lines going into this area here, there's now a dead end, and I may well even take out this point here, so it just swings round, and do away with the third platform line, because that will mean I can then lengthen this one to the end. It gives me an exit from the station building, so I can disappear off onto a road or something similar where the cutout is at the moment. So that will solve a problem, and one less point here. As I say, once the point's gone, I can swing round in a single line, have a point there, run up there, and probably have just an old steam engine sort of depot there. The problem I've got here with the depot, the diesel depot at this end, although there's a fair bit of room, and I've set it up as such at the moment, there is a downfall to it, in so much as I wanted a depot to make it look bigger than it was, and one of the ways of doing that would be to have a depot building, a workshop or whatever you want to call it, disappearing into the scenery. Well, this is probably the worst place to put it because of this inner line. It cuts the corner. I mean, I may have to do it anyway, but I've been sort of pondering what I can do otherwise. Now, the problem is, if I don't use this as a depot, I can use it as a goods siding, but it's very difficult because of the angle. Everything's running the other way to run goods wagons in. I'd need a runoff at this end, and I haven't really got room for it. So another idea would be to make this end here, these tracks here, to be running into the diesel depot. And in fact, this is the ideal scene for it, really, because this hasn't got a line in sight going round, so it doesn't cut across. It disappears into the scenery, or it will do, at the back there where that spirit level is. So I could have a back seam just past where the spirit level is, and fit an end of a depot into it, so it could be a lot bigger than it seems at the moment. That would be my favourite, and also of course that then matches up to where the steam depot, small steam depot, is going to be, and that'd be pretty close then across there. And it's as if the diesel depot is an add-on to the old steam depot. But of course then if I do this as the diesel depot, how do I run into it? Well, obviously that would be a step in on this outer line here. That would be no problem because it would go along here and back in. But it makes it very difficult to put goods wagons in then. And where do I put my goods depot? As I say, I can't do a direct swap from the other side because I can't run my goods trains in and break them up. There's nowhere to run them into because the goods sidings would be in the wrong direction. So I don't know. Or I just make this the goods depot and the engine shed over here. So I'm pondering all this at the moment and trying to decide what to do. Seems like I'm ranting on a bit, or rambling on more like, but I've got all these ideas in my head. I don't really want to make a mistake and do a lot of work beforehand, but the good thing about this track is I haven't done too much work on it electrically wise. As you already know, the points can just lift off without too much problem. It's not there's a few on this side where I've put seat motors, which obviously that's going to be a bit more of a problem, but on the other side they're all the powered points, so it's just a case of lifting them off, and the only wiring to those, apart from a couple of droppers every so often, is the Electrofrog juicers, and that's one wire coming up soldered to the edge of the rail, or not even to the edge of the rail, rather to the edge of the sleeper where the electric contact is. So again, it's not too much of a problem, but that's what I'm deliberating at the moment. So I'll continue for a minute deliberating or thinking and decide or let you know what I'm thinking of doing next. So see you shortly. Right, carrying on, I've done a little bit more work. I've taken up this point here, so that will now just swing round. Now obviously I've got a choice then whether to, I've got a spare point now effectively, so I can either put it there, so that would make 3 lines going into this area which I had intended for the steam area, steam engine shed. Obviously I will still do that, but it gives me an extra line or 2 lines which I could incorporate into storage for diesels. Haven't really decided. This bit here I may well leave for a bit and see what happens. On this I need some more flexi track, and that is holding me up. You may have well have seen all different places where there's not track joined up, and that's basically because I'm waiting for more flexi track. It's not available at the moment in this country, and when it does come it will probably be the new sort of track. This is the straight bit which is now made by Pico. It's pretty similar, it's just the sleepers are a different colour, which won't be so bad because if I spray them anyway, weather them, you won't notice. And it's got a different sort of rail joiner, but you can actually take that off and put on the old sort. I guess the idea of this is more of an invisible join, so it looks continuous, but I actually prefer the old style joiner because it gives more continuity, electrical continuity, and also it's got the nice little sort of rivets in it. Might not be English prototypical, but it looks pretty good because it's all sprayed up and weathered. And what else? Oh yeah, I just thought if I do have this bit here, and I'm pretty sure I will now, I intend to isolate this little bit of straight here, perhaps with a switch on the control panel or on the desk to make it live. When I kill it, and so it is a dead area, I can then take the clamps off the rolling road here and make this the programming track, so that if I just want to reprogram or recalibrate or change the CV on a loco, I haven't got to lift it off the layout. I can just drive it onto this piece of track here, isolate it from the main layout, clamp those clamps to it, which come off the programming track on the ECOS, programming track outlet on the ECOS. I purposely put them on as little clamps so that I could change them, as I mentioned earlier, I think, from the rolling road to clamp them to points to program the points, or in this case clamp them onto this bit of track, which is very, very conveniently located just above the desk, and program any locos there without lifting them off. So I've taken that extra track up, and you might see what I mean now. I can have a wider platform there for the station building, and also have an exit from the station, disappear into a roadway or something now. I can either, I will probably put it on the flap, create a lid to it, and make that something removable if I need to get there. But that'll be the last sort of thing I do, because I need to do all the back scenes over there and decide what I'm going to do with the back scene that's here. I'm toying with the idea of taking the back scene off and sliding it along so it goes around the corner over there, so that it makes it more continuous, and then adding it another bit on the end, which I do have, but I've got those holes, so I might have to take off the last sort of strip at the join and put a new bit on there. So that's something for the future anyway. Probably, you know, the near future, because that's one of the first things I want to do. But the track obviously comes first. I shan't be doing any ballasting for a while anyway, because I intend to run this and see how it actually operates and how I get on with it before I make sure it's really stuck, screwed down or whatever. At the moment there's not a lot of screwing down, or not a lot of pinning down. Certainly it's not glued. There's a few pins around in odd places. Most of the pinning are on the curves to shape the curves, but the straights are pretty much free laying, and the idea of that was to see how they run first and everything's working. There's a slight dip over the back there I noticed on the board, so I need to sort of lift the board up a bit. One of the cross members it seems to show more on this than the OO gauge, because that was where the platform was, and perhaps the platform straightened it a bit anyway, because it was solid wood or solid MDF and screwed into the boards, so that levelled it. So we'll see about that later. As I say, the main point now is to get some more track before I can do the bit more laying of the track down and make some decisions. So I think I'll probably leave it there, and because I can't see me getting any track for the next week or so, and then I'm away again. So I'll probably publish this video as it is, and let you have a look at what the latest is. As I say, it's not a lot from the last one, but I have made some changes along here, and let me know what you think. So bye for now.